Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So, good afternoon, and I hope everyone is doing great. First of all, a very happy new year. After this new year, we are starting with this first webinar. Okay, and I hope everyone is enjoying this pleasant winter. So, welcome to today's webinar. So, before starting, will wait for a couple of minutes so that the people who are joining, we can wait for them. And till that time, I would request if you can text or in the chat box you can put from where you belong to and from which company you are, so that we can also get to know from which part of India we are having the participants. Okay, I can see Khushbu is from Mumbai. Okay, great. So you can see people joining. Great. We have Nilesh from Mumbai. Preeti is from Noida. Amit from Delhi. Venkat from Bangalore. Great. So overall, I can see people from all over India. Western part of India, north part, then Bangalore, southern part of India. That's really great. So I hope people have already kept lots of New Year resolutions this year, and they have already started working on it. And hopefully, will accomplish this in this year. Every year, we know everyone has some or the other resolution in the beginning, at least. Okay, so we have Mayank from Delhi. That's really great. Suhani is from Noida. Rutika from Gurugram. We have people coming. Really great. Great to hear that. Okay, we'll wait for a couple of more minutes now. Varshini is from Bangalore. Welcome everyone. Welcome Varshini. Welcome everyone. Aman is from Gurugram. That's really nice. So we have quite good number of people from Noida, Delhi, Gurugram, Bangalore, Mumbai, and that is quite evident because these are the IT hubs of India. That's really great. Okay, we have Samar from Indore. If you can also put your company's name, that will also be really nice, so that we can also know companies who are having in this webinar. Okay, so welcome everyone in this webinar. We are so glad to have you join us to explore this important topic. Artificial intelligence is reshaping industries worldwide, and its influence on software testing is no exception. Okay, but what does this mean for the future of the testing industry? Right. So I'll leave the answer to you because you already know, you are the experts in this. So in this webinar, we will explore AI's current role in the software testing industry, how AI is shaping the future of testing, and approach to harnessing AI for innovation and efficiency. Okay. And before we deep dive into the topics that we have that I already mentioned, let me tell you a bit about Meteonic Innovation. Okay, we are an 18 years old organization with a mission centered around empowering the software community. We bring world-class state-of-art solutions to ensure you have the best tools for your development. We also focus on enabling young talent and helping them use our software to become better and more efficient in their development. Compliance is a key aspect of our solution, and we are dedicated to saving your time while securing your assets and improving your security posture. And me representing Meteonic, as I already mentioned, my name is Amit, and this webinar is mainly on the state of AI in software testing, current impact, and future prediction. Okay, so today in this webinar, we are also excited to have Sesha, Director of Client Service at Perforce Software. Sesha is an SDLC expert specializing in identity and access management. He has hands-on experience in designing custom identity federation solutions using protocols like SAML 2.0, OAuth 2.0, WS Federation, and WS Trust, leveraging tools such as ADFS, Novel Access Manager, and Ping Identity. He is skilled in .NET based web applications and passionate about mobile app development for iOS and Android. Sesha excels in high performance web development and IT security analysis. So, this is all about today's agenda and the basically our speaker. And before handing this over to Sesha, I would like to understand about your views about AI in testing in the current transforming industry. So we'll just have a small poll where you can answer according to your current role and according to the scenario that is going on in your company, and you think that this is something that's going on. So we can start the poll. Okay, so here we have our first poll. What portion of your testing activities are currently done manually? Okay, I can see good numbers in manually. Okay, most of the people are saying they are doing it manually. Nice. So most of the people are doing it manually, and few of the people have already shifted it to AI, and this we can say they're doing it to AI. And it's now I can see a little increase in the AI thing. People are also using AI features, testing not they are not doing manually. Good to hear that people are also interested, also doing it. Nice. Okay, we have only 10 seconds left. So, do you use AI in your testing program today? Okay, that's great. We have 23% yes, 70% no, and 9% not sure. Great. That's really nice. And by the end of this poll, we have 22% yes. Next poll we have if you're currently or plan to use AI, which aspects of testing would you like to target first? Test creation, test script maintenance, test data creation, result analysis, or others? here I can see some confusions. People are still a little weightage on the test creation part, little bit on the test script maintenance, result analysis 30%. It's still growing. Nice. Okay, now the percentages are increasing. Great. Great. So 40% of people are saying test creation and 29% are saying result analysis. And 19% test script maintenance and 12% test data creation. Really great to see. Nice. So with this, we come to the end of this poll. Okay. So now, yeah. So that's the end of the poll, and you can also feel free to ask any of the questions during the session. We will cover as many as questions as possible. And I'll hand over this session now to Sesha and would like to understand about how we can do this testing part through AI, and also his what are the things that the state of AI in software testing, current impact, and future prediction. So over to you, Sesha.
Yeah, thanks, Amit, for the intro, and thank you for running the poll, by the way. And it was insightful to see all those responses. Before we begin, again, everybody, my name is Sesha, and I'm the Director of Customer Success at Perforce, focused mainly on the continuous testing products. Again, like Amit mentioned, I've been in the IT space for, I would say, close to 2 decades now, playing several roles. Started off as a .NET developer, then jumped into consulting, implemented security suite of products, especially in the identity access management space across all Fortune 100 clients. How and when did I get into testing is I think I was involved, if I remember, initially as an R&D engineer, and then did some product development of certain features for a testing product. Then slowly, I think that's how I kind of transitioned into that line from the security space. Been in this space for close to 8-9 years now, just testing alone, and right now leading a CS team because I actually like interacting with customers, getting direct feedback from them, and based on the feedback, going back to product or R&D, implementing something which is in line with the feedback, I feel is more meaningful. Doing what a customer is asking or building what a customer is asking sounds more meaningful. So again, lessons learned over a period of years. Anyway, that's a little bit about me. And today I'm actually going to talk about AI in testing and what Perforce's vision is about the future of AI, right? Before I jump too deep into the topic, I'm not sure how familiar all of you are here about Perforce as a company. We are a 30-year-old company. I would say we are a culmination of 14 different brands that we acquired over a period of 14 years, 25 years. And as you can see, you're probably aware of some of these products like Helix Score. It's a version control software used by companies like Google, Microsoft. You also probably know Helix ALM for requirements management, issue management, test case management. And then Handsoft was earlier called as Helix Plan, mostly a project management tool for real-time planning. And Puppet is our software configuration management tool to manage different stages in the ID infrastructure lifecycle, be it spinning up machines or running patches on hundreds of servers. That's your tool to go. The group that I work for specifically is the automated testing and quality, right? And the four products that you see there down below on your screen is where I'm responsible for. And I want to zoom in a little bit into these four products. Let's start with Blaze Meter and Perfecto, because I saw the poll initially, and some of you are still doing manual testing. So obviously, what is our solution to that? We can automate a lot of it. If you're looking for functional testing, performance testing of web apps, then Blaze Meter is your product. And Blaze Meter has been out there for several years, and I'm pretty sure some of you know it already. Some of you are probably using it. It is, I wouldn't call it just a performance testing solution. I would call it a continuous testing platform. The reason is it can do more than performance testing. It can do functional testing. It can do test data creation. It has the ability to spin up virtual services for you. And last but not the least, it can do monitoring, uptime monitoring of APIs, right? It does a lot of things by itself. And then complementing it is Perfecto, which is a mobile app testing solution. Native app testing, native or mobile web app testing, iOS, Android, testing on real devices, testing on virtual devices. We support bring your own device concept. If we have to spin up a lab for you, we have our own, enterprise grade, data center. It's a full-blown enterprise solution and supporting lots of, Appium, Cypress, and all that. Um, um, and the reason why you see, Blaze and Perfecto in a yin yang like this is because they complement each other really well, and there is an integration between the two as well. Now, uh, the good part here is when you're running performance tests, obviously you are automating it. Let's just say you're running a large scale 5,000 user test or a 10,000 user test. You obviously want to know, oh, okay, I have this much load on my backend servers. How about, really understanding the real user experience on a mobile device like this, right? So that's where Perfecto can kick in and say, okay, the client side real experience can be visualized. Now, if you want to really experience the web interface side of things, BlazeMeter can do it. Delphix is more of a recent acquisition of ours, less than a year old, where it is mostly used for data management, like data masking, compliance. If you want to virtualize the data, let's just say we want to pull production data and then use it as a part of our test, we can leverage Delphix for it. And there is an integration between Delphix and BlazeMeter as well. Worksoft is not something that we own, but we partner with them for packaged application testing like ERP, Oracle, Salesforce, all of that. So that's kind of a high level intro of what Perforce does, where I belong, what products we are into, especially in the testing space, just to set the context. Now, going into the topic of the day, really, right? I mean, we've been talking about AI for several years now, AI, machine learning, but especially in the testing landscape, what have we really done? I mean, if I go back in time, yes, we have done some self-healing algorithms where, let's just say you're running a functional test. You log in as Sesha into an app. You see an upgrade button in the middle of the screen. Let's assume it gets moved to the top right corner from the middle of the screen. Yes, the algorithm auto detects that shift. The script adjusts itself. But really, is it adjusting itself? I don't think so, because I know how it works behind the scenes. It's probably looking for the XPath or the element ID. Doesn't matter if it is here or here. It goes by XPath lookup and finds the element, right? So there's little work done there. Same thing when it comes to analytics or coming up with predictive functions. Nothing major was really done in that space when we talk about testing. I wouldn't say no value was created. I believe, there is so much to leverage from AI, and we have not leveraged AI to its fullest potential yet, which is what I think Perforce really is envisioning in 2025, and what we are thinking of is going to be a game changer. Also, when it comes to AI in testing, I know several companies uh, have begun using something like Copilot for creating tests, which is good. You key in something, it generates your script and all. But we shouldn't be using AI just for the sake of using AI. I think we must understand the real value it can provide, and kind of the savings that it can generate for us in terms of time or cost, and that way, accelerate in the right direction. So we must figure out a way to really enhance these different phases of testing, and how AI can be leveraged in each of these phases to help us move forward at a faster pace. And again, testers will probably transition from, that whole scripting mindset to more of a test case or requirement specification mindset, when AI is implemented. That said, let's take a step back. So what's really involved when it comes to, just testing, right? What are the challenges we have today? If you look at a typical day of a software developer or engineer or tester, they spend time on scripting, right? So mostly the focus is on writing a script, which is probably a little static after a certain point, and with less time spent on requirement specification or acceptance criteria and all. Then comes script maintenance. It's not just writing the script. Oh, how do I maintain this now? Oh, there's a long JMeter script or a Selenium script, or I have to know this language. What do I do? And especially when the business is changing requirements, it becomes a Herculean task to really manage the script or maintain it, make all those changes, rerun it, ensure there are no errors, right? One is ensuring there are no errors in the scripts, because errors in the script can cause errors during the execution. So when you execute a script, you don't know whether the errors are happening because of something is wrong in your script, or maybe something is really gone wrong with your testing infrastructure itself, right? So we want to make sure the scripting is easy, script maintenance is easy. When you're executing it, you have a decent infrastructure without any problems. And also test data. I saw in the poll, a lot of people are interested in test data creation. Maybe if time permits, I can touch on it a little bit and show you something that we have. Test data creation. Do we spend a lot of time on creating this test data? I know people uploading or creating test data manually, large CSV files and all. This is a challenge. It is all very time consuming. And at the end of the day, after you run your tests, uh, analyzing those test results is another task, right? So how do we make sure we reduce the amount of time spent, and just make sure we start focusing on the real business problem, right? So this is where what we believe at Perforce is, with Perforce AI, we can automate a lot of things. The whole scripting, maintenance, analysis, all that can be removed, and or replaced by Perforce AI. And what we get at the end of the day is 56+% time efficiency gain. Now, there can be huge, this can be translated to like cost savings also at some point. We aren't there yet. I mean, this is our vision, at least, to get to that phase. So let's now dumb it down a little more. How do we go about doing this? I mean, yes, I talked about, doing this, doing that. How do we want to do this? So let's break down the different phases of testing. One is creating a test, executing, analyzing the results, and then maintaining it. 4 different phases. Now, the idea is to really exploit or explore the AI capabilities and solve problems in each of these phases. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if, AI analyzed, logs from hundreds of load engines? Let's just say you're running a pretty large test with, I don't know, 5,000 users that will require 50 or 100 engines to run, and aggregating the metrics from all of these machines, consolidating them, giving a report is one piece. But after giving the report, let's just say there are errors. If someone can just group these errors for us and then parse through all the log files, tell us that, oh, these have happened because of, I don't know, network issues, not just what you call grouping them by a response code merely, but grouping them by the type of error that is occurring. Service unavailable errors, or a 404 error, or network error, authentication issue. I think there is huge potential in that space itself, just around analysis, just to touch on one thing. Now, same thing applies to like creating tests, right? I mean, do we really want to spend time on writing a test in JMeter or Selenium? And when you go with Selenium, you can write a Selenium script in like 5 different languages, right? Either C Sharp, Java, JUnit, TestNG, Ruby, Python. What technology do we pick? And everything is time consuming. So just hold on to that thought. What I really want to do next is maybe take you guys through each and every phase, and how, because some of it we have already done at Perforce in our products, some is yet to come in the future. So what I'm going to share is our vision slash roadmap. So let's go to the test creation piece for a minute. Now, when you're creating a test, there's a lot that is involved. One, like you record a flow, you're writing a test, specifically test data creation, because people have asked about this. So we are spending a lot of time just creating the test data by hand, be it large CSV files and all, only to realize that the test data that is created is static every single time, right? Say you're running a test in a CI/CD fashion. Every Friday you run a test. You have the same amount of test data, 100 rows of data. Next Friday, it's the same CSV. The Friday after that, it's the same CSV. There is no variety as such. But at Blazemeter, we have a feature called Test Data Pro that does allow you to generate test data on the fly, and it can be dynamic every single time, right? So you get your desired variety, and you can reuse this data between your tests, and it'll also make sure there is consistency. And going into test data a little deep, we have a synthetic test data creation engine where we have standard seed lists available for, creating first names, last names, email addresses. If you want to generate UK addresses, US addresses, you can. If you want to generate like Bollywood movie names or Indian first names, you can do that. And there are AI capabilities around this. Maybe, it will start making sense if I actually switch over to the product itself and show you something here real quick. So I'm going to switch to the product. Most of you might have seen it. I'm not going to go into like what Blazemeter is, but let's just say I want to create a test. I go in and I say I want to create a performance test. I want to call this test data demo. And what I really want to do here is I have an existing JMeter script. I'm going to just drag it here. Now, this script, I recorded this against one of our standard demo websites where, I navigated through 4 or 5 pages on a flight booking website, nothing fancy there. The moment I upload, what it did is it just did a little bit of validation, and it made sure the script did not have any errors. But as you can see here, this thing turned yellow. So what happened here behind the scenes is our AI profiler, it parsed through my Blaze demo.jmx JMirror script. And if I click on this, it shows me a lot of stuff. It says that, oh, there are 16 hard-coded values in my script, right? So I have a script with different parameters that I clicked on during my recording. It said that, oh, I am booking a flight from Philadelphia to Berlin on a Virgin America flight, blah, blah, blah. This is my address, credit card, and all. But I don't want to test with the same data every single time, right? So our AI engine went through it, it parsed the file, it also suggested functions to generate similar data because we don't want to select this information every single time, and it shows me an example. And if I go in here, it also created a copy of my it is suggesting to create a copy of my JMX. So this is my original file with all the hard-coded values. But here is where it is parameterizing my script and making sure that it is fully, a production-ready script. So let's close this for a second. I can go in here and I can generate how many ever rows of data I want. If I want to generate 20 rows of data, I can do that. It's pretty straightforward. So instead of going from Philadelphia to Berlin, I choose Austin, Brussels, San Jose, Dublin, a flight, my address, name on card, credit card number, and all. Very easy to go with. Let's just hit save for now. Okay, so the moment I hit save, it is going to take a backup of my JMirror file. It's going to say, there's a new file getting created. Now our test is a data-driven test, right? With all the parameters available on the right-hand side. Now let's take it a step further, right? What else can AI do? Now, cities. Obviously, what I feel is, oh, I don't want to put some city. I want to maybe put the city name as somewhere from US East Coast. Let's just say, I can say, just like how you go on Chat GPT and put in natural language, you can say generate city names from US East Coast, right? And ask it to suggest a function for us, and it did. So these are all the cities on the East Coast. Let's hit save. So it changed my function the way I want. Similarly, if I want to go in here, and you know this, like every time you go on a website, try to buy something, you put in your card details. I mean, it is very easy to fat finger and put an extra character or put a wrong credit card, whatever it is. So we don't want to do happy path testing all the time. We also want to do negative testing. Again, the AI profiler here, depending on the function that you are using, it is going to suggest some random negative glitches for you if you want, right? So what this does really is 90% of the times it uses this function to generate test data, and rest of the times it is going to distribute and use wrong data for us, right? So you put an extra character, or use a Diners Club card, or an American Express card, or a MasterCard instead of this. Anything that you want, you can play with this the way you want, really, and hit save. So it changed this. Anyway, this is something I wanted to show. What we have in test data. This has been out there for 6 months, maybe almost, and people have been using it. We're getting fantastic feedback on that side of things. So I would highly encourage you guys to use it. If you do not have a BlazeMeter account yet, you can all log into BlazeMeter, sign up for a free account. Obviously, the free account is a perpetual license and comes with its own limitations. But you can get a tease of what is happening. But if you want to really try all the pro features, feel free to reach out to our support or sales team, and we'll enable a license for you. Now, let's switch back to the main topic again. So what I showcased now is I showed you how test data can generate synthetic test data for you, AI assisted functions, so that you don't have to really write a piece of code to generate the functions. And then you have what I talked about is like chaos testing or negative testing, AI profiler detecting hard-coded values and parameterization. Test data orchestration has nothing to do with AI really. I mean, if you really want to fetch data from a remote API endpoint, we have the ability to do that, right? Um, and again, BlazeMeter, as I said, is a platform. It's not just doing testing. We can spin up virtual services for you. And when you spin up a virtual service, let's say you have to pass, latitude and longitude, your coordinates to a third-party API, get the zip code. You can absolutely do that, create a dummy service and simulate the request and response coming back and forth. And when you do that, it doesn't have to be the same static response every time, right? You can parameterize that, like how it is shown on the screen, using test data, create a first name, random first names, random last names, use those variables inside your script, inside the body of the message that you pass to the dummy service or the response that it returns. You can make your responses dynamic as well. Um, so this is where I think creation of test data and its application will be greatly useful for you and will reduce the amount of time that as testers you spend. So we talked about auto profiling, suggesting data automatically, parameterizing it, and then creating and running that test for you. So that's all what test data can do. Now, now let's take it a step more. We talked about creating a test. Now, I want to look at creation and execution as together, because this is now our vision, going into 2025. Because what I'm really talking about here is a concept where we generate an AI test. You do not really have to care about what the framework is behind the scenes, whether it is JMeter or Selenium or whatever it can be, right? What you are going to do is just input natural language and generate a test. Let's just say, you have an application, you log in. You can just say that, okay, go to so and so website, log in, and then click on the drop down, select this, or set the date to tomorrow in a field that has the date in it, right? So you don't have to worry about, what framework you have to use behind the scenes. You just use natural language input and let AI create the test for you. And similarly, just like how we are using AI today just for test data, we are expanding the scope of it now in BlazeMeter. And I'm really excited about this when I talk, because I really want to see it happen in real. And our product team is like doing POCs every day, product and R&D teams, to try this out, what works, what doesn't work. They are inputting natural language, making sure it is creating a test for us. And that way, you as testers can start spending more time on, architecture or requirements or understanding the business case, whatever it is, and let AI do the job for you. You can maybe either just do the recording and feed the recording to the AI, let it create the test for you. Okay. Or, give a test plan, or give, user guide or documentation or a how-to article on how to go around inside a website, and let AI create the test for you. Or maybe you can have some flows derived from production, right? Which I'm going to touch on later. But all I'm saying is, do not worry about the language or the framework that you need to use to create a test, right? I mean, AI is going to give us that whole thing. And you may have a gazillion type of tests, right? Like user experience test or a security test or a performance test. All you're doing is you're only feeding the data in natural language. You just say that, go to this site and run a functional test, or go to this site, do this, do that, but make it a performance test for 30 users or 40 users. All you do is that. Just use natural language. Now, taking it a step further, we want to use natural language and have AI step through your application visually as specified in the natural language, right? And why I say this is something we are already doing a little bit in one of our products called Perfecto, and I'll probably share a sneak peek into that. But so what you're really doing is you're giving natural language, letting AI create a test, and once a test is created, you are asking AI to step through your steps, really, which you provided in natural language. It navigates through your app, and then finally, let it do the validation for you. AI validation, right? Now, the validation also can be like a visual validation. Like, like tell me something. Like we all do stock trading on the side. I'm sure most of you do, right? Show me like one app out there that can validate if the stock market is trending up or down, not manually, like from an automation standpoint. If you ask it, hey, can you check if the stock market is trending upwards or downwards by just looking at an app? Is anyone doing it? I don't think so. I think that is something we are envisioning, right? What we are envisioning is totally going to be a game changer. There's no traditional scripting involved. There's a big paradigm shift. There's nothing for you to maintain, and all those hard problems are gone inherently. And uh, yeah, it has many possibilities that you've never imagined. So if I look at the transition, really, how we are going through, like back in the day when you write a script, you search for an element, as I said, on a page by using either XPath or their class in the DOM object, and you validate based on those fields. And maintaining such things is difficult because if a developer has actually changed the whole thing, or if you're using something like React and all where the XPath is constructed dynamically, your script is gone for a toss, right? Same thing, we moved from scripting like that to scriptless solutions, which exist today in both Blazemeter and Perfecto. And in scriptless it is also all about pointing and clicking, like do this, do that, based on certain text, and where the elements are identified really based on tags behind the scenes. Again, there is some maintenance work involved. Success rate has been low there because it doesn't record everything. Everything cannot be scriptless. So we moved from the traditional scriptless mode now to visual testing, where we look at a screen and we visually match certain things, crop that, validate whether it is equal to something or not, and then go from there. Now what we're talking about is like AI driven test execution overall. Like you visually see something, put natural language, and using natural language validate something, execute and validate, and look at something like, oh, have I booked a flight, or is the flight timing after 5 p.m.? Let's just say you go on makemytrip.com, you booked a flight, and you're looking at it and you're saying, oh, is the flight after 4 p.m., right? Again, very low maintenance because every time something changes, the natural language or your test case will never change. AI will rewrite the test for you, and it's just going to rerun it for you. You don't have to rewrite the script or anything because the test is generated from scratch every single time. And that is what is exciting about this whole thing. Um, so let's just see some examples, right? So the AI driven validation, the idea really here is, as you can see, in the traditional way, you put like XPath like this, and but what Perforce's approach is, oh, okay, is there like a weather measurement displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit? If it is, if there is a C there, it says yes. If it is no, it's a no. Is there a back button? There's no back button. Is there a list button? Yes, there is a list button. That kind of validation, right? Taking it a step further, like I talked about stock market. Instead of stock market, let's just say you have something like this, the weather app, where you're talking about, oh, is the humidity in the chart decreasing between so and so time and so and so time, right? Yes, it's a pass. No, it's a fail. These types of tests were not possible at all earlier. And with AI driven validation, with that visual inspection that we are talking about, these are becoming increasingly possible. And we have some of this already available in Perfecto today. And we are going to extend this concept to Blazemeter as well. This is another good example, the flight example that I talked about, right? AI-driven validation in Perfecto, where if you really want to look at, oh, is the notification toggle turned on or not? It'll say, just looking at the screen, it's going to say. Certain use cases are really, blowing my mind, what AI can achieve. Now, so we talked about creation, how you're creating a test using test data and creating and executing using the whole AI model with the AI-driven navigation, AI-driven validation. Now, once you run a test, execute it, let's analyze it, right? So what is it that we want to do here? So this is a screenshot of a report from Perfecto. Okay. It's all looking good. It says how many tests have passed, failed, all good. But I want to know more. I want to get a deeper insight. Okay. Same thing on the Blazemeter side. I really want to know more, other than metrics, I want to know like what caused the issue. So the idea really, or the concept that we have been working on really is grouping errors, coming up with friendly error messages, or determining the error message or the root cause based on visual analysis using AI. And we are pretty much there. I feel, again, it is still a work in progress, but this specific example here where we go on a website, put in username and password, you get an error message, right? This error is probably because there's an authentication issue or a connection issue. You don't have to really worry about that anymore. We can do that visual inspection for you and say that it is a network error, right? So that's the kind of thing we're talking about here. Excuse me. Taking it a step further, like this is another good example of comparing to last time. The first example was visual analysis. This example is more around comparing with previous runs, again, visually. So the last time when you visited a page, you had a 404. This time you have like too many elements, or this time you have a 404. Just compare with last run and determine what is wrong, right? Let's assume you released a new version of the app and you're testing it now. You have automated this through Perfecto. You go through, navigate through different menus, and you're expecting it to show this, but it showed a 404. It's an issue for you, right? And we can visually detect such things, put it under a specific bucket, and give you a report. This is another example of authentication issues. But what I'm really looking at is group them all together and say that, oh, you've had so many app failures, so many app crashes, so many issues because of authentication, so many issues because of network. I think we can group them all together and give you a deeper insight into whatever we are doing with AI. And I really love to see this, take off to the next level. Now, so we talked about creation, execution, analysis. Now we're going into the maintenance mode, right? So when it comes to maintaining tests, really, there's two ways you can do tests, like test maintenance. Number one is really around, because it is natural language input, all you're really doing is you're just providing the input again, and it's going to generate that AI is going to generate the test for you one more time. Doesn't matter if your application changed completely, it is going to generate a new test for you every single time. And you don't have to worry about whether it is in Selenium or not. That is one way to do it. But oftentimes, when I talk to customers, they are like, okay, we bought your product. What do I do now? How do I run a performance test? How do I know whether I need to run it for 1,000 users, 2,000, 3,000 users? Where do I really get all this info? I'm like, okay, so we are talking about performance engineering now. Okay. So what we suggest the customers to do is, all right, do you use any APM? Do you use any Google Analytics type of thing? If yes, go to a website which is already live, right? And you want to test that. So go look at your peak usage data in a day and maybe, try to test for 30% more or 40% more than that, just to make sure your system is able to handle even 40% more load than what you currently have, right? But again, it's a Herculean task, really, going and navigating or parsing through all those log files, Google Analytics data. Let's assume you go on Amazon, right? Or you have an e-commerce site. You get, 10,000 visitors a day. They're going and clicking on 40 different products. Of the 40 products, maybe five are like fast selling. They go to those five specific products. That is where they spend more time. That is where those are the products maybe they buy, which means you get maybe hardly 5% of traffic to your homepage, 10% of traffic to your other pages, and 50% traffic to that specific, you know, uh, iPhone product or Android product that you're selling on your website. So how do you really determine all of this and create a test which is realistic? Getting to that level of maturity by any customer will require a big team, will require a lot of analysis. You can avoid all of that using this model where you create tests from production. And this is exactly what Perforce is envisioning here too. We can profile the usage, just like how I've shown you the profiler of a JMeter script and it detecting hard-coded values. Our profiler can go through logs, application logs, APM data, or Google Analytics data, if it is available in the form of a log file, determine how to distribute the load for you, determine the pattern in which the load is distributed, and then take it to the next level of creating a test out of it. So it's more or less like, it's not just one person putting natural language. Like if I say go to page 1, page 2 do this, page 3 do this, that is one thing. But AI is parsing through logs saying that thousands of users are going to this website in this way. So the test has to be created in such a way where you go to page 1, 20% of the load go to page 1. Of all the load, 20% are probably dropping off at page 1, and the rest of the people are going to page 2. Then, you go to page 3, 10% are going all the way to checkout and buying the product. So there is this whole, possibility around this where, natural language creating is one thing, but automatically creating the test based on production logs or production data and using visual understanding and automatically maintaining those tests. You can actually make it a full cycle here, right? You can save that profile, let it create a test next time also. That way you have a test that is created. Now this goes to the same flow, visually testing it, validating it, and all. That's the vision I think we are going towards. And in which case, you don't have to really worry about regression testing, because how many of the regression tests that you have are like fully functioning now, right? Or 100% valid. We say we're going through a regression test suite, but we know what really happens there. I mean, a lot of times there are issues. The regression tests have failed for whatever reason. We think it is failing because of X, but it is failing because of Y. That whole maintenance of regression suite is gone with this model where you are creating a test based on production data. So that's around maintenance really. Now, again, zooming out, so what is the future of testing going to look like according to us is, as I said, testers are probably using user stories or giving natural language input, or a test is getting created based on production usage. AI is generating, and we are feeding it to AI. That's it. And let AI generate our test cases, the actual test, um, and then let it analyze the results for us. Let it make some recommendations to us, right? That is what we are envisioning. Now, is this all ready to go at Perforce? No. This is just a vision and what we think the future looks like. As I said, our product team, our R&D team, they're working, daily on some sort of a small, tiny project, POC, implementing this, trying this out, visual inspection or doing through images. But we are hopeful that by mid-year, maybe we'll start seeing some of these things come to light. uh, I cannot guarantee again. I'm not a product manager, but I know we have certain things done already, which is what I shared with you, the test data piece. By the way, I also know there is another AI scripting assistant that was released like yesterday on the API testing side, where let's just say you're creating an API test in Blazemeter, and for whatever reason you want to run a pre-processed script before that, you can take the assistance of the script assistant and say that, hey, can you create a function for me to set the date to tomorrow or whatever, tomorrow's date. So the date function and all, it can create that functions for you behind the scenes and all. So there are releases happening. We work in 2 week sprints. Every 2 weeks there will be something getting released in the AI space, because this is our vision for the year 2025. And we have the right ecosystem and the team to build and deliver on whatever we are talking about. With that said, I want to take one more minute just to maybe give you a snapshot of our roadmap, and then we can maybe spend a couple of minutes on questions. Um, this is a very high level roadmap. We've done a few things already, like pop-up detection, self-healing in the past. Test Data Pro was released, last year around Q3. And then root cause analysis is there in bits and pieces, but comparing with last runs and all, certain things are still work in progress, including like AI-driven validation that is going to go beyond 2024. But what we're really looking at 2025 is, this whole AI-driven test execution that I talked about, that concept, automatically scaling all our load engines and generating visual test data like images that are needed for test scenarios. So I believe, as I said, we have a very strong ecosystem, and we are heading in the right direction with the right people on the team to be able to deliver this. With that, I'm ready to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sesha, for this great insights on all the things that you mentioned regarding the testing through AI and all. It was really insightful, and I hope people must have found it very relevant. So we have questions like, what if from Subodh, what if data AI generated is not available in application database? Scripts will fail.
Sorry, could you repeat the question one more time?
What
What if data?
data AI generated is not available in application database?
Yeah, good
Scripts
question.
will fail.
So yes, it will fail, uh, but we don't want it to fail. So this is where I think the thing that I talked about, test data orchestration, comes into play, right? Let's assume you have, yeah, your application maybe takes, an input like the first letter of first name and last name, okay? And yes, we have functions that you can write to take substring of first name, substring of last name, concatenate them both, and use it as a valid input. That's one way. But how do you also make sure it is in the database? So test data orchestration can do both. It can either fetch the data from an API, from obviously from your database, or it can also push data to the database. Let's just say you have a scenario where you are filling out a registration form. Okay, you fill out the first name, last name, email, you click submit. Ideally, what it is doing is it is going and submitting it in your backend, and it's generating a customer ID for you. And if you don't use the same customer ID in the subsequent calls, your script will fail. Let's just say that. So test data orchestration gives you that exact capability in Blazemeter, wherein you can go against that endpoint, fetch that for every row of data, and use it in your subsequent steps of the script. And you can assign the customer ID to a variable. That's one thing. Now, you can also do a one-time push of test data into your backend database if you want as a script. That also can be done. So when you go into the test data orchestration section in Blazemeter, it provides you the options whether to run a call to an API endpoint once per each row, or once before the start of the test, or once after the test is complete. So you might ask, why do I want to do after the test is complete? That is because you may want to clean up your data after the test is complete. That way, every single time you run a test, you're starting off with a clean slate, right? All the junk data that is created as a part of the test can also be cleaned up once a test is complete. So yes.
Okay, that's really great. I hope we have answered your question to both. So next question is from we have from Manish. LLM generated test scenarios look good option, but how much it's feasible for big end-to-end scenarios covering multiple pages and features?
So, good question. I mean, I don't know if I know the answer for it fully, but there is some work already happening in that space. In fact, we are able to, cover pretty good scenarios. Now, we are still not at the part where we are taking production data and large, end-to-end scenarios are still not being tested, but we are able to generate tests and go against websites, navigate through whatever pages we want to, and also click on different things. In fact, some of it is already being done in Perfecto space, so it is not new to us. And we believe, if we need to do, a file upload type of a scenario, or maybe, do a chatbot, AI chatbots and all. People are already doing it in chatbot space. So I don't think, I want to worry too much about whether this can be done or not. It is just a matter of time, when it can be done. It's because there's a lot of effort that goes into just building this functionality.
Okay, that's great. Sir, we have another question in the chat. If you can see, so we have from Subodh, what if we don't have production data or application is yet to be launched, but we have to prepare for future load? Can it give
You
some
don't have,
realistic load pattern?
yeah, if you don't have production data, I think you just have to use natural language input, right? I mean, production data is only, yeah, if something goes live, but if it is a new app that is still under development, you want to test it. This is probably where I think defining the test case or the requirement specification or acceptance criteria is important. And this is also what I talked about when I said tester's role will slightly transition from actually doing a test to writing a specification. Because the moment we talk about AI and oh, AI can do testing for you, the very important question we get asked is, oh, are testers out going to be out of jobs? Absolutely not. You are going to transition from this role of actually writing a script in JMeter or Selenium to providing a natural language input where you say that, okay, this is your new application and you're anticipating, you're launching it on so and so day, you're anticipating 5,000 users to hit it on the day of launch, and maybe there is a 1 hour peak period. So how you define your acceptance criteria, which is something typically you get from your business, and use that natural language input to have AI generate the test. And again, you tweak it on an as needed basis, right? And it learns from itself as well. You launch it, you run the test, you realize, based on whatever servers you have procured, it is just being underutilized. It has room to take more traffic you can, or it just underperforms. How do you want to scale the app? It's a natural process. So there is still a lot of learning there if it is a new app, and there is work for everybody. And let's not worry about people going out of jobs.
That's a good answer. So before we go to the last question, we have lots of questions actually in the chat, but we will try to cover that in the chat box itself. But I'll be taking one more question before we end this session, because we are already out of time. Another thing, we are if you want to go for a demo of this specific tool, Blaze Meter, we are putting this the chat box. Please click on the link and register uh, for the demo, right? And apart from that, the last question that I was talking about is from Chitra. It's how it's going to be useful for testing of LLM based generated chatbot and voice bots.
Um, Again, I know, like, if it is chatbots and all, AI is already being used where it is reading the prompt question and responding accordingly today, right? Like if you go on, any banking website today, we are already responding to that. But I think what is going to be interesting here is, let's say you have a chatbot, you're talking to someone, and it is providing a response. Now, responding back, I know right now the way it does is it has a set of predefined canned responses from which these chatbots operate, but dynamically responding based on the question by looking at, a database or a production data. That is going to be interesting, I feel. And how it ties back to your natural language input, the test case that is defined is something we still have to explore. So it's a question for which I do not have an answer right away, but it is going to be an interesting use case for sure, and we'll have to explore that.
Great. That was really nice. Actually, that was supposed to be the last question that I was going to ask. But listening to all the things that you mentioned, it was really insightful. Even though I am not completely into the testing part, but still, I got one question in my mind that I think I should ask before we end this session. So, my question is, what are the limitations of AI in handling complex real-world scenarios?
Well, we don't know, right? See, at this time, I think we are at a phase where everybody is exploring things. Um, there is, everyone says there are endless possibilities, but really, let's just scope it down to testing landscape. And from a testing standpoint, we want to do these four things, but testing is more than this, right? Testing is, we always talk about testing a mobile app, testing, a web app, a desktop app, but testing can also be like, IoT devices. Let's just say you are in your car, and these days you have Apple CarPlay or anything that is coming on a device inside your car. How do you test certain things inside your car, whether your whatever service engine light is on or not? How can AI test such things, or can AI test such things? So I do not know. Maybe there are some limitations when it comes to such things. Maybe there are not. or how do I test such things inside a physical car? I don't know. Without manually doing it, can automation be done there? So it'll be interesting. I think we are moving in a rapid pace towards this whole AI thing, and I believe people will start exploring something really cool, and will one day come to know that, oh, this is a possibility. We haven't thought about it, right? So let's see. For now, I'd say sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I believe I can see if Perforce is the pioneer and PaceMeter is the pioneer in few of the things that's including with the AI and testing, right?
Yeah.
So with this question, I would like to thank you for this fantastic session, and thank you all of you for waiting till this time. Even though we are short of time, we have already crossed the time that we were supposed to end this session. But still, thank you very much for having patience and listening to this amazing session. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to uh, write your questions in the chat box, and do not you can ask for demo. Link is already in the chat box, and if you want to connect to us, don't hesitate to connect to us for any of the questions regarding the session that we had, that we already had, and regarding the demo part. Okay. So with this note, I would like to thank everyone for this for being a part of this awesome webinar. Thank
Yep.
you very much.
Thank you.